I don't know about you, but for me, balancing on a railroad track is fun. What did you say? I'm a grown-up? Yeah, I know. So what if I'm grown up? I know that you want to do it too. I know, at least some of you. I bet that next time you'll be passing a railroad track, you'll think about this and you'll look both ways and see if there is anybody around. There is nobody around here. Come on, you know you want to do it. Here's a secret. If you want to feel young forever, channel the inner child. Let him be you for a bit, occasionally. Let him be exuberant. Let him express himself. Let him jump and up and down. Let him whistle or howl. Let him swing left and right. It is good for you. The truth is, life is hard. Wow. Yeah, I know. What a deep point, huh? What a deep statement. Boy, how did you discover that, really? Yeah, okay, enough with the teasing. The older you get, the more you realize that life is hard. And the more cynical you become. The joy, the spontaneity that you once had, they all start to disappear. This is happening with good reason. Life brings all sorts of problems to you. Every single day, 7 days a week. The most important thing is, what do you do with this challenge? The way you respond, how you handle every challenge, ultimately defines your life. Life is hard. In a way, it is like balancing on a railroad track. At times it is fun, other times it is challenging. The million-dollar question is, how can we handle the challenging times so that it is still fun and we do not lose our minds? Life is difficult. This is a great truth, one of the greatest truths. This is how Morgan Scott Peck, an American psychiatrist, starts his best-selling book, The Road Less Traveled. He continues, "It is a great truth because once we truly see this truth, we transcend it. Once we truly know that life is difficult, once we truly understand and accept it, then life is no longer difficult. Because once it is accepted, the fact that life is difficult no longer matters." We all know that the life is hard. Nothing new under the sun here. It is rather a trite statement that every breathing being instinctively knows it. However, what is special and what makes a difference is this. Everyone who truly understands and accepts it has made a huge leap ahead in dealing with the hardness of life. Surprisingly, many people cannot or refuse to understand and accept this truth. Why? Mr. Scott Peck reveals why. What makes life difficult is that the process of confronting and solving problems is a painful one. And since life poses an endless series of problems, life is always difficult and is full of pain, as well as joy. Yet, it is in this whole process of meeting and solving problems that life has its meaning. Problems are the cutting edge that distinguishes between success and failure. Who likes pain? No one. Nobody likes pain. Everybody tries to avoid pain. That's why most of us procrastinate in finding solutions. That's why many do not want to accept life's hardships. Attempting to avoid the pain of coming out of their comfortable position and face the challenge, many people refuse to accept the realities of life. Even when faced with undeniable proofs, they still cannot wrap their mind around the objective truth. See, for instance, what is happening with the disciples of Jesus. After Christ's crucifixion and burial, they went into hiding, afraid for their lives, shaking at any soft sound they may have heard, flinching at any crackle or snap of a twig. Their entire universe was turned upside down in just a matter of hours. Just a couple of days before, They were entertaining dreams of glory, haggling over who's going to be the greatest in a glorious kingdom of Jesus that seemed to have been within their grasp. Then suddenly, a tsunami of changes barreled down into their lives, leaving them bewildered and confused. 3 days later, Jesus is resurrected and shows himself to the disciples. This is how the Gospel of Luke describes the event. Luke 24:33 says, "And they got up that very hour and returned to Jerusalem and found gathered together the 11 and those who were with them, saying, 'The Lord has really risen and has appeared to Simon.' They began to relate the experiences on the road and how he was recognized by them in the breaking of the bread. While they were telling these things, he himself stood in their midst and said to them, 'Peace be to you.' But they were startled and frightened and thought that they were seeing a spirit." Why were the disciples startled and frightened? Didn't Jesus tell them before that he is going to be resurrected the third day? In Matthew 12:40 it says, "Just as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the sea monster, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth." In his mercy and patience, Jesus continues to explain to them and offer reasons to believe in him and in his resurrection. Luke 24:38 says, "And he said to them, 'Why are you troubled? And why do doubts arise in your hearts? See my hands and my feet, that it is I, myself. Touch me and see, for a spirit does not have flesh and bones, as you see that I have.' And when he had said this, he showed them his hands and his feet. While they still could not believe it, because of their joy and amazement, he said to them, 'Have you anything here to eat?' They gave him a piece of broiled fish, and he took it and ate it before them. They still could not believe it. No matter how many proofs and reasoning Jesus would bring to his disciples, it seems that it is almost impossible for them to change their mind, at least for the moment. It was painful for them to accept that their dreams of fame and glory as state leaders in Christ's kingdom have been ruined. Their well-crafted fantasies went crashing down in a blink of an eye. The new scary reality, one that threatened their lives, became dramatically obvious. Through the fumes of their collapsed aspirations, they can only see the inescapable, bitter truth. Now, when Jesus miraculously reappears into their lives, resurrected, they do not know what to believe. They do not want to suffer anymore. They do not want to be wrong, believing that he has been resurrected. With a long-suffering patience and love, Jesus rolled out the scripture scrolls and started explaining again how the prophecies about him have been fulfilled, one by one. Luke 24:44 says, "Now he said to them, 'These are my words, which I spoke to you while I was still with you, that all things which are written about me in the law of Moses and the prophets and the Psalms must be fulfilled.' Then he opened their minds to understand the scriptures, and he said to them, 'Thus it is written, that the Christ would suffer and rise again from the dead the third day.'" Jesus did not stop at explaining to the disciples the fulfilling of the messianic prophecies. He empowered them to be witnesses to the fact of his resurrection. He led them to become active and take a part into his mission and strengthen their beliefs through action. Verse 48 continues, "You are witnesses of these things, and behold, I am sending forth the promise of my Father upon you, but you are to stay in the city until you are clothed with power from on high." You are witnesses of these things. Indeed, the disciples were witnesses of those moments that brought Messiah to the world. They were the privileged few who were eyewitnesses to the events that, as Luke 10:24 says, "Many prophets and kings wished to see the things which you see and did not see them, and to hear the things which you hear and did not hear them." Today, we are living historic times. Nobody even dreamed a few days or a couple of weeks ago these things would happen. It startled even the strongest of us. It came upon us unexpectedly. It surprised every single one of us. It shook every fiber of our being. Something inside us still tries to deny the obvious change that abruptly interrupted our daydreaming. The new reality denies our plans for tomorrow, and this brings pain into our lives. We do not like pain, and we try to avoid it. It is for us today what Apostle Paul says in Hebrews 12:4. In your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood. In Gethsemane, just before his crucifixion, Jesus struggled with a decision and choices that were ahead of him. He asked his Father to take away the cup he was about to drink. His pain in making this decision was as real as it gets. Luke in his Gospel reports that his sweat became like great drops of blood falling down to the ground. In our struggle to accept the reality of the times we are living in, we still have a large dose of fear. We are still not ready to accept the things that we are seeing with our own eyes. We still hesitate to realize that these times that we are living in are the realization of Christ's prophecies regarding the time before his second coming. Daniel, the prophet, went to his sleep with a great desire to understand and see the times of the end. He had many questions for which he did not receive answers. And oh, how much he desired to know those answers. How privileged we are today to see the fulfillment of Daniel's prophecies. We are living during the time of the end. The storm is approaching, and we see the very first drops of the rain. We see the dark clouds gathering above our heads. But this is a great reason to rejoice. Luke 21:25 says, "And there will be signs in sun and moon and stars, and on the earth distress of nations in perplexity because of the roaring of the sea and the waves." People fainting with fear and with foreboding of what is coming on the world. For the powers of the heavens will be shaken. And then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Now, when these things begin to take place, straighten up and raise your head, because your redemption is drawing near. It is time for us to take heart, straighten up and raise our heads, because our redemption is near, because he is coming very, very soon. It is time for us to throw away fear, accept the reality, and get ready to meet him. Hebrews 10:35 says, "Therefore, do not throw away your confidence, which has a great reward, for you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the will of God, you may receive what was promised. For yet, in a very little while, he who is coming will come, and will not delay, but my righteous one shall live by faith." So, what do you say? Are you ready? Are you ready to keep balancing on your railroad track? Are you ready to get past your fears and accept the peace that he offers? Come on, let's have fun. His reward is close. His coming is very near. He is right at the door.